Hi, patrons. So, I am going to be talking about two books, I think. Let me see. Nah, three. Yeah. There's about three books I'm going to be talking about that are either DNFs or books that I gave like a lower rating to that I wasn't really a big fan of. So the first one, this is a DNF. I don't know if I'll go back to it. So we got See It Through by Julia Wolf. This was a part of the Kelly Ranch, book one of a new series that she started that was based on Elena and Lachlan's children. So this is like their daughter. I was liking this book at the beginning, but then it got to like the middle part of the book. I got about 50%. And I was like, you know what? This is boring me. It's not holding my interest. And I just didn't want to finish it. So I ended up just DNFing it because it just got boring to me. And also I felt like because it was supposed to be like have a suspense element in it, and I felt like there wasn't enough suspense element by like the 50% point. It's like you need to have, if you're going to do like, look, if you're going to do a suspense, you have to have enough of the suspense elements in there for it to be interesting. Otherwise, it's just some stupid side plot that you didn't need to have in the fucking book. So basically, the her character is a farrier, and so she goes to like ranches and different things like that and works on, these people's horses. They're obviously working on the hooves, the feet of the horse. I guess I was reading about it a little bit because I was watching a video on this guy who's a farrier who was working on the horses like hooves. And I guess wild horses have stronger hooves than domesticated. Like there's a lot of horses that have become, someone had said it was like sedentary, I think it was. Like they kind of like linger around. They don't really like run a lot. And I guess their hooves can get soft. And so farriers will work on the horses so that way they don't get infections and they don't have like other things that could happen to their, feet. Because obviously their legs are very important, So I was like reading a little bit of some people who are obviously, horse people, and they know a little bit of like, all that stuff. And so she's a farrier. And so this other guy is a farrier, and I guess he wasn't getting business because he wasn't treating the horses right, and the horses were like complaining. And it's like from what I can gather, it's essentially like they're like estheticians almost, or like nail technicians, to where they go and they work on the horse's nail. But I guess if you go too deep or are rough with the horses, like, the horses are going to complain, they might kick you if you're, too rough with them. And so she works better with the horses than this other guy. And so this other guy, I think his name was Cleve. I think it was Cleve. 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 So I'm thinking it's Cleve. He was like trying to intimidate her. Like he was driving behind her, being like just a butthole. Like just being a total butthole. And then she went around to this other place to go and work on these horses for this, farmer, whatever it was. And when she got out of the area to go to her car, all of their tires were slashed. So she's dealing with that. And of course, the hero, he comes back from, he's dealing with obviously PTSD because he went and used to be a photographer that was more of like those types of like journalistic photographers where they go around to like war-torn countries and take photos and different things like that. So obviously him and his crew were driving when a bomb had went off, and like what do they call them? It's like was it not a EFP maybe, or something like that, where it's like it's a essentially like a mine where you go and drive over and it, you know, blows up. So they went and, you know, got into this area and it killed a couple of the guys in the car, and it injured him to where he has like this injury to his like area of his head, and has it to where he can get headaches and stuff from like the light and different things like that. So he's dealing with that, dealing with PTSD and probably survivor's guilt and all that stuff. And so he comes back home to a small town after like not really communicating with his like best friend and all that stuff. So she kind of has this like animosity toward him at first, and then that kind of quickly dissipated to where they started getting involved. And I kind of felt like they got involved too quickly, where like it just felt like they were already like a couple like within 50% of the book, and I was like, really? It seemed too quick, too rushed. And this is something that I've been noticing lately with a lot of romances. These romances, the couples just, it's too rushed, it's too quick. It's getting to where it's like they don't know each other enough before they're saying I love you. And it's just, it was too insta-lust in here where he was already like confessing his feelings, and I'm like, dude, no. And it just was like, it was way too quick for me. And I was getting bored, and I was just like, man, fuck this. So I ended up DNFing it because I just was like, there wasn't enough of the suspense element in here for me. And then the couple was getting together way too quickly for my taste, and I just wasn't a fan. So the next book, I ended up reading this one, and I will say I'm not really impressed with this author's writing. Like, how many people have like hyped up this author and said this author's really great for like mafia romances and all that stuff. And I'm just really not feeling this author. I just not a fan. So this is Neva Altaj. This is Broken Whispers. This is part of the Perfectly Imperfect series. It's an arranged marriage mafia romance. Now we got the characters of Bianca and Mikhail. So he has a daughter named Lena who's 4 years old. So it's touch her and die, age gap, cinnamon roll hero, arranged marriage, forced proximity, mostly mute heroine that uses ASL. So Bianca's father, Bruno, that guy's a prick, forces her to marry a man, Mikhail, from the Russian mafia. And it says it's made as a deal to bring their families together. He tells her that if she doesn't marry Mikhail, that he will force her teenage sister to do it. So Bianca reluctantly agrees because she loves her sister. Doesn't give a shit about her mother or her dad. She doesn't like her mother either. So Mikhail's Bratva asks someone to marry the Italian daughter of their enemy to have as a ceasefire. When Mikhail finds out who she is, he agrees immediately. So he secretly has been obsessed with her because she has been a ballerina in plays, and he keeps seeing her plays, and he's just mesmerized by her dancing. And so he just like, as soon as he finds out who it is, he's like, yes, I'll marry her, you know, like he has no problem marrying her. He's been lusting after her for a while. So they marry. Bianca finds out Mikhail has a 4-year-old daughter, Lena, and her and Mikhail fall in love. I gave this a 3.5. I said the reason I gave this book 3.5 stars was I felt like it was a typical generic mafia story. It wasn't anything different. It felt like the heroine fell too quickly for the hero. I said I already knew the hero was in love with her, but it felt like her falling for him could have been drawn out more. I definitely felt like there wasn't much angst or pining on either end. I said also the sex scenes had her orgasm almost immediately. I said as soon as he got in her, and it made my eyes roll. It just is like, as soon as he got in her, she's already like, oh, and I'm like, really? Okay, sure. It just was like, just unbelievable to me. And I was like, really? Come on. Why do we need to have this? So yeah, I just was like, I didn't want to bother with the first book because I heard like mixed reviews with the first book, and I was like, no, fuck that. I'm not going to read the first book. I'll just delve into the second. And it was okay. Like I said, it just felt like it was just very generic. Like, oh my God, I've read like stories like this before in Mafia. Mafia tends to be, for me, very formulaic, and it gets boring really quick. So it's not really a subgenre that I'm really into, or like, like a trope I'm not really into, it was okay. Like the guy was like very much a cinnamon roll. Like he respected her a lot, and um he didn't want to, hurt her or anything like that. He wanted to treat her with like kid gloves and stuff like that. Um and so he didn't realize that she was mute. She wasn't deaf, but she was mute because she ended up getting into this car accident with her butthole father, because her father, I think, was drinking or whatever when he picked her up from like ballet, and they ended up getting into a car accident. And when she was getting like trached, getting a trachea down her throat, the paramedic had damaged her vocal cords, so like she can speak but it hurts when she speaks. So there was a few times like she was speaking to him in the book, and he told her like, stop talking, it hurts you, and like, stop talking, we'll sign. And so for a while he didn't tell her that he actually knew sign language. And so it was interesting. Like I said, it was all right. It was an all right book, but it felt very formulaic to me, and that's why I ended up giving it like a 3.5. There were some things I just didn't care for in there. So the next book I ended up giving a 3, and this is because I felt like the couple got together way too quickly for my taste, very much like insta love, and I just wasn't a fan of it. I normally like a lot of her books, but sometimes she's kind of hit or miss for me as an author. So this was A Simple Life by Melanie Moreland. So like I said, I gave that a 3. I said it was too insta-love and the ending bored me, which it did. Once it got to like the 90% point of the book, I was like, okay, let's wrap this shit up now. Because I'm just like, okay, we got our happily ever after. Stop lingering with this book and just end it. Just end the fucking book. So I just felt like the 90% point, I was just like, I'm done. Come on, let's finish this shit. So that's why I ended up giving it a 3. It was fine, but I felt like they got together way too quickly. So we got the heroine, her and her daughter. Her daughter's about 4 or so. Her and her daughter moved to this small town to get away from like her butthole husband. Her ex-husband was a jerk. I'd say if they would have stayed together as a couple, he might have became like physically abusive towards her, but he was definitely mentally abusive. And he obviously didn't treat his daughter well either. Like, he just was a prick. Just a douchebag prick who didn't need to be married or have children, honestly. He should have just stayed single, you know? So she goes to the small town. She ends up like kind of getting harassed at this fair. It was like a fair or like a carnival. And she ends up meeting the farmer. And so the farmer, I can't remember their names, honestly. I didn't write them down. But the farmer, he's very much more of like a recluse. He ends up seeing her harassed like at this carnival. So they kind of like have this instant attraction. But then he finds out she has a daughter, and he assumes, like a butthole, that she's married. So he's like kind of like gives her an attitude a little bit. And then she ends up finding out that the apartment, it's kind of like an apartment house, like a rental house. The rental house that she's staying in, he technically owns it. Though his sister is the one that kind of like does, like, she's more of the manager, and she makes sure like, oh, this needs to get maintenance, that needs to get maintenance. And then he'll go in and he'll fix things and stuff like that. So he's more of like the behind the scenes type of owner. And so she ends up finding out he's the owner, and they kind of get off on the wrong foot that way too. And they kind of have like, they kind of snipe back each other for a little bit until finally like he kind of like gives in. She ends up opening up this restaurant in town, which she was kind of against at first. And she calls it kind of a big deal, a dill, because it's based on like her making her own pickles. And she goes and for every meal you get a pickle with it. And so she has, she jars up pickles, obviously. And so he is impressed with her food and ends up like starting to go to her restaurant and kind of lets down his guard, and he's like, I'm sorry for, treating you the way I treated you, and I'm sorry about that. And so they kind of have to go, get over their, like, animosity they had toward each other toward the beginning. But like I said, I felt like it was too insta love. Like, he fell for her, I think, way too quickly. Like, he already was like wanting her to move in with him, him and the daughter. He wanted to move in. I thought it was really sweet. He had such a good relationship with her daughter. He was so sweet to her. He called her Pumpkin. It's so cute. I loved his relationship with the little girl because she clearly needed a father figure in her life, since her butthole father had wanted nothing to do with her or the wife after he divorced them. He basically gave her a settlement and was like, fuck off, kind of thing, it was total dick. But, I liked that relationship. I liked his relationship with the little girl. I thought it was really cute how he liked kids, like he was really good with his nephew, like, because his sister had a son. And so he's really good with his nephew. It was sweet. But like I said, I felt like it was too insta love with the characters, and it was like a quicker story. So I think it was only maybe like 200 so pages. It wasn't like a long story. So I understood like the author just wanted like this, like, more of an easy romance of like these characters finding love with each other. But like I said, I just felt like it was just too quickly, and I really wanted it to kind of like build up a little bit more, have them get to know each other a little bit more before he was like obsessed. But I really liked his relationship with the little girl. I thought she was cute. She was this cute little kid. And he would call her Pumpkin. It was so sweet. It was so cute. Jeez. It was so cute. I really liked his relationship with the little girl. It was adorable. And you could tell, like, oh, this guy's father figure material. Like, he's gonna want lots of babies, And that's basically what it was. Like, toward the end, he was like, I want lots of kids, And so she was like, okay, well, we'll work on that, And so at the end, like, she had gotten pregnant. So that I thought that was sweet. But like I said, it just overall was a 3. There was a lot of cuteness to it, but also I felt like they got together way too quickly for my taste, and I'm just so tired of these authors that just push this insta love or insta lust way too quickly in the book for me. And I'm just like, build up the relationship. I want to see the romance. This is the whole fucking point of a romance, is I want to see the hero and heroine romance each other. I want to see this relationship build to where I know they're going to last as a couple. This is what I want to see. I don't want it to go straight into fucking banging. I'm just tired of it. So, yeah, this month it was just even some of the books that I did enjoy, I thought they were okay, like better than okay, but not great. I'll just say that, not great. So I'll discuss more of those when my wrap up comes up, at the end of the month, so you'll see that. But yeah, like, anyways, like, when it comes to next year, I think that's what I'm definitely going to do. Like, I'll continue doing my wrap-ups for my Brandy Reads channel, but I think I'll end up having it to where a few days before I post it publicly on my Brandy Reads, I'll have it to where I'll have it available for my Patreon, so anybody who wants to watch it early can watch the video early if they want, and they can do that. They'll have early access to it. I think that's what I'll probably end up doing, is like maybe like a few days before the end of the month, I'll do the video, I'll upload it right away, and then post it, so that way you can see it. But yeah, that's it for this one here. Yeah, I've been really trying to like get into other books lately, because I've been really disappointed in my reading experiences. I think I'm definitely going to have to go back to a lot more backlist titles for some other books and read them, because it's just been disappointing for me lately with some of these authors and their writing. It's just been lacking. These stories have been really lacking for me. Yeah, I have a lot of like historicals that I really need to like crack open and get to, because I think I might enjoy my experience with those ones a lot more than what I've been dealing with. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video here. I'm tired. I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm gonna go take a nap. Like I get up, like I sometimes can't sleep at night. So I end up I read. And so I went to sleep last night and I only got maybe like a few hours of sleep, so I am tired. So I need to go take a nap. While my children are in school, even though I had one who was complaining that her throat was sore, and I told her, you got to get to school. You got to get to school. I said, if you can't make it the whole day, then call me on the phone and you can go to the nurse's office and I'll probably just pick you up early. But, you know, I'm like, try to handle all day at school. You can't just stay home with just a sore throat. Get to school. So, yeah. Because then what happens is the school's like, oh, they're missing too many days. This is truancy. And there's a shit truancy law in California where if the kid misses how many days, they will like want to hound your ass and basically try to criminalize you as a parent because your child's sick and doesn't feel good, wants to stay home, you know? So like, oh, if you miss too many days of school, you know, you're going to get in trouble. And it's like, you tell the kids to stay home because you don't want them going to school sick, but then when they're home sick for too many days, you complain because you're not getting that funding for the schools, you know, because that's basically what it is. The state gives them funding for the kids that make it into school. If the kid misses how many days of school, that's less funding the school gets. And that honestly isn't my fucking issue. That's not my problem. That's the school's problem. You know, and it's like, maybe, I don't know, have some like air purifiers in the class so that way there's less germs that are getting like shoved around, because my kids get sick when, you know, there's other kids that are in school that are sick and they give it to my kids. When my kids are home, like for the whole summer break, they won't get sick. They will not be sick the whole summer break. But as soon as they get back into school, they get sick. And it's because these other germy ass fucking kids that give them the cold. And it's like, this is when my kid ends up missing a week of school because they've been sick the whole week. You know, they've been hacking their head off and coughing. And then I end up getting sick. You know, you think I want the fucking germs? I don't want these kid germs. So, yeah, it's annoying when you have that. Where it's like, oh, you need to keep the kid home if they're sick. Yeah, but then when they're home too many days, you complain. So either way, I can't fucking win. So yeah, that's it for this video here. Have yourselves a good day. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. And I'll see you all on the next video. All right. Bye.